Alrighty, so some news of the week episode on this Thursday afternoon, and there were definitely some interesting transfer rumors has happened this week. And we start off with Austin FC, as it is reported that they are set to sign Red Star Belgrade forward Osman Bukari after they decided to exercise the contract buyout of Emiliano Rigoni. Now, start with the contract buyout of Emiliano Rigoni. Apparently, the reason why Austin decided to buy out Emiliano Rigoni contract is because there is a specific clause in his contract saying that if he appears for the 12th time this season for Austin FC, that pretty much automatically trigger the option pickup of him being with Austin FC, and his contract will run into 2025. Now, as we all know, Emmanuel Rigoni has had a rough time with Austin FC, and he's definitely going to go down as one of the biggest busts in terms of a DP signing in MLS history, and probably the biggest bust in terms of Austin FC, in terms of their first couple of DP signing, and knowing that they don't want to have this contract to be a liability until next year. It seems like they decided to buy out his contract. Now, that's not without some controversy in terms of the fact that it seems like Rigoni's agent is not happy about this, and there's been some back and forth argument between him and Rodolfo Pizarro, or not Rodolfo Pizarro, I'm sorry, Rodolfo Barrero, the Austin FC sporting director. Rodolfo Pizarro doesn't play in MLS anymore, but yeah, this is kind of interesting, and I think for Austin FC fans, they're kind of happy that this finally happened. I mean, again, Rigoni, he's been giving chances to maybe improve, and it hasn't really quite worked out. And in terms of their new signing, Osman Bukari, well, he's been a guy not only has a lot of positive thing that said from Red Star Belgrade fans, but also, he's a guy that scores in the Champions League as well. So when you have a guy that can score in the Champions League, you know that he's probably going to be a good player, and he's definitely going to be better than Rigoni. I mean, that's a very low bar to set in terms of him coming in and be an instant upgrade to Emmanuel Rigoni. But yeah, overall, this course deal looks like it's going to complete. It seems like it's going to be like $7 million that Austin is going to pay Red Star Belgrade to make this transfer. And once the transfer window does open, I think this move pretty much is complete. If it isn't complete before, he's gonna be joining this Austin team once the transfer window is open, which is actually pretty soon now, in terms of the European transfer window and also the secondary transfer window in MLS. Now, moving on. So remember, I think in the last News of the Week episode, that it seems like Atlanta has rejected Cruz Azul offer to sign their star striker Giorgio Giacomakis. Well, it seems like Cruz Azul is not giving up just yet. Now there is a report that they are upping their offer. It's like $10 million is the transfer fee that is reported that Cruz Azul is looking to try to get for Giacomakis. Now, this is a very tempting offer if you're Atlanta United, and that's a huge amount of two, and especially with the way that obviously Yakimakis got off to a decent start to the season, and he's still your star number 9. But obviously he has kind of struggled a little bit lately, which is also not surprising. That Atlanta has also kind of struggled in these last couple of games as well. So again, it is a very tempting offer. $10 million euros is, well, actually 10 million euros is a lot of money. It's around like $12 million, and we'll see whether or not if this is going to happen. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if Yakimakis would also want to make this move happen, because it seems like from what it was also reported, Cruz Azul is going to give Yakimakis $15 million per season if he decide to join him. That is a hefty amount of money that you see a player that can earn. And again, I know obviously Yakimakis would love to stay with Atlanta, but when you're offering that much amount of money, and with the day of age now, where players they when they see that bag, they definitely are gonna try to go chase it. Yeah, we'll see whether or not if Yakimakis is going to be that player that he sees the bag and he's very tempted to do so. But will he do it? Even though that means that he's going to leave Atlanta, and that I think he wants to stay with Atlanta United, despite the fact that they're struggling right now. But now it's going to be a big question of whether or not if Atlanta does move on from him. I mean, it's a tough decision, because if they do move on from him, they lose a lot of quality on the attacking end, and they desperately need it too, because of how bad they've been in the past month or two. Now, Emmanuel Reynoso. So it seems like this saga is about to come to an end. Finally, as a Minnesota United fan, because I'm pretty sure me and every Minnesota United fans want to see the saga eventually come to an end. And that, of course, is him potentially leaving Minnesota and is now going to be linked with a move with Club Tivana. Now, this was originally of him going to FC Juarez, but it seems like now Tijuana is looking to try and to step in to make this move. And this also is happening despite the fact that once again, Emmanuel Reynoso just cannot get out of his own way in terms of making some dumb decisions, because now there is a video service of him basically involving a gun and basically also involved a stack of cash that he was exchanging with someone. So he's pretty much going with the John Moran route with the way that this is going on. But anyway, we'll see whether or not if MLS will do anything to uh to punish him. I mean, I'm assuming probably not, because he's pretty much not starting or even on the bench for this Minnesota team. I mean, I've said it before. Even though he's come back from Minnesota and he's been regularly making his appearance with the club, I don't think he's going to be making another appearance for the Loons. I mean, he's too far gone in terms of what I think that he's going to be welcomed back into this team, and that I think the only sensible thing for Minnesota to do is that they just move on from him. And honestly, I don't care how much the amount it is. I think it's best for both party. They move on, and we'll see whether this move with Tijuana is going to happen soon. Now, moving on into this next news, and now talk about San Diego FC, because they definitely made a couple of news this week. So now there's more rumors suggesting that San Diego FC could sign Kevin De Bruyne. So there's been a rumor for the past couple of weeks that it could happen. Now, at first, I thought this was maybe a cool rumor to hear, but most likely it's not going to happen. Now there's more rumors that this could happen, and we'll see. Again, Kevin De Bruyne just fresh off of winning another Premier League title with Man City, and that again, I still think that he's probably got maybe 1 or 2 year left before maybe he might move on to somewhere else, either in MLS or going to Saudi Arabia, as it is kind of the case nowadays with all of these aging European star player. But we'll see. We'll see if San Diego can lure him away from Man City, and if they do, it's going to be a hefty amount to do so. And this is after they have now reports said that they have agreed a $12 million fee to sign Chucky Lozano. Now, obviously, Chucky Lozano is not going to join San Diego FC straight away, because San Diego is not going to come into the league until next season. He's going to be with Napoli for the remaining part of the season before joining the team in the January transfer window. But yeah, San Diego's definitely being very there. I feel like in some way I can see why some people I've heard have said that San Diego is kind of going. It's giving like a very Inter Miami kind of expansion vibe. Where remember when Inter Miami came into the league, and them not afraid to splash the money, and pretty much with them linking with almost everybody around the world. And the funny thing is, with them kind of linking everybody around the world, they actually did get some of the players that were linked. I mean, for a while, I remember Inter Miami was linked with Luis Suarez. Guess what? They did get Luis Suarez in the end. Now I don't know if they were linked with Messi before. I think they that rumor eventually kind of started kicking in for the first couple of seasons when Inter Miami is in, and obviously we now know Messi is now with Inter Miami. So again, it's kind of giving me that vibe, because Inter Miami was not afraid to spend that cash, because they just had that guy called David Beckham, who he has a lot of money to invest in his own club, and it feels like that's kind of the same case for San Diego FC as well. Now, one thing that they're still going to have to search is a sporting director, because originally they were going to name Carlos Avina as their club first sporting director, and I think that would be a good option, because San Diego have repeatedly said that they kind of want to be the Ajax of MLS. They want to be a club that is known to develop young talent, which this is also where it's kind of contradict of what they're trying to do right now. They want to be Ajax of MLS, but they're signing a lot of these big name kind of player. And I get, even with Ajax, they do sometimes sign some big name player, but not in the amount in terms of what San Diego is doing. And you got to also remember, besides Chucky Lozano and Kevin De Bruyne, San Diego was also linked with Sergio Ramos as well, and it'll be interesting to see whether they can get that signing over the line. But getting a guy like Carlos Avina, a guy that was with Monaco, and Monaco is a team that is known to develop some good talent. I mean, there's that guy called Kylian Mbappe that used to come from AC Monaco, and that yeah, again, this would have fit perfectly for San Diego, but it seems like that's not going to happen. It seems like they backed out of that deal, and now their search for their first sporting director continues. I think they still have time to do so. I don't think they're at that point in terms of just an absolutely panic state that they could be like Charlotte found themselves in their expansion season. Remember how Charlotte literally was months away from starting the season, and their sporting director basically quit on them. San Diego's not at that point yet. I think they still have time to search for a new sporting director, but I feel like this was definitely a missed opportunity, especially getting a guy coming from a club that is known to develop some good young talented player, and that's what San Diego have kind of said that they envisioned themselves to be once they came into the league. Now, the Galaxy have also still reported that they are going to be joining the numerous club that is interest in the Marco Royce sweepstakes. So right now, there's tons of club that is interest in Marco Royce. Charlotte basically have his discovery rights right now, but yeah, the big problem for the Galaxy right now in terms of getting Royce, well, actually, there's two big problems that they have. One big problem is that Charlotte refused to give up the discovery rights to the Galaxy, and just another reminder how the discovery rights rule in MLS is just absolutely bush league and just kind of outdated. And I'm pretty sure everybody, including myself, want that rule to eventually abolish in the near future. But obviously, the second issue for the Galaxy is that they don't have a DP spot open, and most likely, if Marco Royce does come to MLS, it's got to be a DP tag that is going to slap on him if he does come to MLS and join with an MLS team. So yeah, this should be very interesting. And again, it is still hard to tell whether or not. I think Marco Royce is going to come to MLS. Now the question is which club he's gonna join. I mean, Charlotte has really been pursuing hard to try to get him. But Royce and his agent have repeatedly said that he doesn't want to go to Charlotte, and it seems like he rather want to go to one of the LA teams, or maybe even in the New York team, or even going into Miami as well. Though obviously, I don't think that's gonna happen because first Inter Miami is just slam up itself in the cap, and they don't have a DP spot open, and I don't think adding Marco Royce would really help their situation considered they're already top heavy on the attacking end. But I can understand why Royce wants to go to one of the biggest market, as usually is the case with these big name European star player winding up down their career, want to join a big market in MLS. And I'm not saying Charlotte is not a big market, but it's not really an appeasing market compared to the LA Galaxy. So yeah, again, this should be an interesting situation. And keep in mind, Dortmund is going to be playing in the Champions League final in a couple of days against Real Madrid. So once that is over, that's when the Marco Royce sweepstakes and the transfer saga is going to kick into full gear. And this is where, again, I do think that he's going to come to MLS. By the way, another team that I haven't even mentioned that he could join is St. Louis City. St. Louis City would kind of make the most sense because obviously Roman Bukari have been messaging Marco Royce and talking about how good MLS is, and that with that connection, there could be a chance that he could be joining St. Louis City, and it would also work well for St. Louis City too because they with the way that this season their attack hasn't been going as strong as they did last season. A player like Marco Royce, even though he's kind of winding down his latter part of his career, would definitely help their attack. But it will be very interesting to see in these upcoming weeks. And once the transfer window does open, who exactly is going to win the Marco Royce sweep this season? Now, speaking of St. Louis, they are report to sign DM Jake Gerwit from Sydney FC in the A League. Now, what's kind of interesting lately is that I've seen a lot of MLS teams that have started to go into the A League and trying to find some hidden gems, and I think that's not a bad idea considering I feel like the A League is an untapped kind of league for MLS team to trying to get some hidden gems and maybe get some depth. And this is an example of it. Apparently, it seems like there's a reported that that is going to be not only a club record fee if they do sell him to St. Louis, but maybe even an A League transfer record. And they've said that this Australian defense midfielder very highly talented, and yeah, we'll see whether if St. Louis is going to get him. I think he's probably going to use more for depth reason, but again, it seems like the league has really now started to tap into the A League market. We already seen. I think Vancouver have already signed a player from the A League. Won't be surprised we might see another in this situation. And then DC United, they are set to sign Austrian left back David Schneck from Strom Graz after they have exercised the buyout of Mohamed Jihads. Now, obviously, Mohamed Jihads he just never really worked out in the Troy Lesane system. So there's no surprise that they decided to buy him out, and especially with the contract that he is earning. It takes up too much cap space for DC that they just had no choice in terms of exercising the buyout. Now, in terms of getting this guy called David Schlick, I don't know a lot about him. I don't know if he's going to be just as a good option compared to Mohamed Jihez, who again just never really fit in the Troy Lesane system. But we shall see if this move is going to complete. And then moving on in the next news, and still talk about transfer rumors because again there was a lot of them. There is a report suggesting that Brian Ortega could be linked with an MLS team after finishing playing in Copa America, and I won't be surprised that is the case because there's been a lot of highly talented Venezuelan players that come to MLS in the last couple of months. I mean, we just saw Cincinnati signing Kevin Kelsey from Shakhtar Donetsk, and it's definitely paid out in a big dividend so far with his good start. And we even see David Martinez when he joined LAFC and how he provides some spark to that LAFC team. And it's unfortunate that he's of course injured right now, and that's why he hasn't been making regular appearance. So yeah, I think of Brian Ortega, another guy that is a young Venezuelan player. I won't be surprised. There's going to be a lot of teams that's going to link for his service. And then the New England Revolution. So I already made a video talk about the chaotic nature and a disastrous start that the Revs has had this season. Well, there is a bit good news as they are set to receive another $2 million from Chelsea after reaching the performance incentive of Georgi Petrovic, and that the deal can now be reached under $20 million, which would be right up there in terms of the largest outbound transfer we have ever seen in league history. Now, there's no doubt that Georgi Petrovic has been amazing with Chelsea. I mean, ever since he stepped in for the injured Ricardo Sanchez, he's done very well with Chelsea, and that this is another example that MLS teams can produce some good young goalkeeping talent, and that's kind of the case for the Revs too. Though I'm pretty sure the Revs would really love to have Petrovic back right now because their goalkeeping situation has just been bad, to say the least. Even though they recently reached the agreement to sign Ivicic, and Ivicic at least it's been a little bit better, but still nowhere near in terms of the quality that Petrovic and Matt Turner produced with this Revs team, and that was kind of expected because the Revs have been very lucky to get two of the best goalkeeper we have ever seen in league history back to back. Now, the New York Red Bulls, they have signed John Token to another contract extension. Now, this is kind of interesting because again, there's that question of when exactly is John Token is going to go to Europe. I think it's going to come soon. Though I also won't be surprised he could be end up in the same situation that Aaron Long found himself in. We talked about before a couple years when Aaron Long was supposed to move to Europe, and there was some interest that was going to be the case, especially going to the Premier League. Never worked out, and now he's staying in MLS. And I wonder if that's going to be the same case for John Token. Though I don't know if that is the case because again, he is one of the more talented uh, young American in this league and have now really breaking to the U.S. men's national team as a result. I won't be surprised that if he can continue to maybe even be a starter for this team, that he's gonna have to make the move to Europe. And the Red Bulls are a team that has known to sell some good young talented player to European team, and that I think this contract extension just to kind of make sure that yeah he's gonna be under this contract so that once his contract is over he doesn't just leave for free because that's also one thing that the Red Bulls have done before leaving players for free to Europe, and they definitely don't want to make that mistake again, leaving some good young talented player to Europe and don't get anything out of it. And then moving on in terms of the next news, the U.S. Open Cup. So it will now be broadcast on Apple TV for the rest of the tournament. So the quarterfinal, semifinal, and the final is now going to be broadcast on Apple TV. And this was long overdue. I mean, as much as I know MLS have tried their best to broadcast these games on YouTube, it's been bad in terms of the quality. And I think it's going to improve now that it's being broadcast on Apple TV. And I also won't be surprised next year there could be a case where Apple TV might take the U.S. Open Cup rights. I mean, we saw it with ESPN Plus when MLS used to be under that, and that ESPN Plus eventually bought out the U.S. Open Cup right. I think that's going to be the same case for Apple TV as well, and it's good if that's the case because again, I know the U.S. Open Cup it's been under a lot of controversy in this last year or so, but it's good to see that this tournament is going to be easily accessed for people to watch. By the way, I think the other reason why the U.S. Open Cup is now being broadcast on Apple TV for the rest of the tournament, pretty much most of the teams involved in the tournament are MLS team. Though I say most of the team, five out of the eight teams are going to be in the quarterfinal. There's still two or not two, but three lower league team that is involved in the tournament, including one of those team is the Sacramento Republic, who, by the way, I was kind of very disappointed that I wasn't able to make it to the game between the Quakes and the Republic. I was actually gonna go, but unfortunately, I have some family issue that kind of had conflicted me going to the game, and it's also a shame too because that was just an incredible game between them and the Quakes. And the Republic obviously is making another good run in the U.S. Open Cup. So whenever they make a good run in the U.S. Open Cup, the MLS to Sacramento talk is going to open up, and Sacramento Mayor Steinberg is once again opening that talk up about now Sacramento potentially going to MLS. Now, most of the update that he mentioned is kind of the same thing that he's been saying for the past couple of years. Is that there's definitely a case that they could go to MLS, and that all they need right now is a strong owner, and that's I think is basically the biggest obstacle right now with Sacramento because yeah, we already seen it that they did find that ownership, but they did find that owner, but he kind of pulled a fast one on on them, and now it seems like they're kind of back to square one. And I can also understand why maybe there are no good owners that wants to take up the Sacramento effort because they've seen before how it kind of failed. It's a bit of a risky proposal, but I also think that it's the expansion fee. The expansion fee is ridiculously high right now, and that right now as the league continues to expand and with the way that I know no Don Garber have said that they're going to stop at 30 for a bit, but I will not be surprised it's going to be 32 as soon as 2028, and that we're now into the situation where there's definitely some other market that's looking to try to get an MLS team. I mean, we still have the Las Vegas situation. It's kind of interesting that situation has kind of gone quiet, considering that was supposed to be the 30th MLS team. Obviously, we saw San Diego coming into the league. Phoenix definitely is one team that is knocking on the door of getting an MLS team, but probably another team or another city that is really pushing for MLS is Indianapolis. So there's more reports or more news in regards to that, where the city of Indianapolis is looking to buy out the 11 Park site from Keystone Group. Now, when they buy out that site, I don't know if they're going to build their own stadium there, and that the city have repeatedly said that they're not interested in bringing Indy 11 to MLS to bring a new team that it is not involved in the Indy 11 ownership group, and that it seems like now more and more we're going to see the San Diego situation all over again, where the Loyals were basically killed off because another ownership group basically take the San Diego FC team, and it kind of sucked that of course is the case because I really want to see these USL team with the current ownership eventually come to MLS. And this is also where I'm really hoping that's not the same case with Sacramento. Imagine if there's another ownership group that said, we're gonna have this own Sacramento team come to MLS, but we're not gonna bring the Republic in it. I mean, I think that probably won't happen because obviously the Republic, one of the best supported team in the USL, and really a fan base that I think out of any fan base right now in the lower league deserve to see an MLS team. It's got to be them, and that would be a really bad move if they decided to approach that. But it seems like that could be the case with Indianapolis again and again. They're really pushing hard right now, especially from a couple of weeks ago when the mayor really bring the big idea of them building a new stadium and really luring the 31st franchise in MLS to come to Indianapolis. Now, former Portland Timbers jersey sponsor Debrella have sued the team over contract termination. Now, if you remember, the reason why the Timbers pull out of the Debrella jersey sponsor is because the one of their CEO was involved in a sexual harassment kind of case, and knowing that they were just fresh off of another controversial case similar to that, you knew the Timbers want no part of that. Now that being said, the the Barilla is definitely not happy about that, and now they're basically putting almost like a lawsuit because of it, and this should be a very interesting lawsuit to see, and we'll see how this is gonna go. I mean, it's hard to believe that the Timbers have been involved in so much chaotic thing off the field, and this is just another latest example of it. And then finally, to finish off with San Diego, they and Club Tijuana is going to be reaching a 5-year partnership and will host annual derby game beginning in 2025. This is not a big surprise because we saw that when the Loyals basically were in the USL Championship, they were playing against Club Tijuana. We also are seeing it with El Paso Locomotive too. They have that partnership with FC Juarez. They play regular derby games across the border, kind of like a border derby games every single year. So yeah, no surprise that of course, it is the case, and I would definitely want to attend one of these derby games as well. I was actually going to attend one of the derby games in 2020, but we all know what happened in 2020, and I would definitely love to see it because yeah, it's an interesting and kind of situation where again, now that San Diego finally has a team, I'm assuming some of those Tijuana fans that are based in San Diego that have watched their Cholos play, they're probably going to be rooting for San Diego as well. I mean, there's nothing wrong with rooting for two teams, especially two teams that is in separate leagues. So that should be interesting to see once they do play against each other. That you basically root for both teams, but which team do you want to choose? Although I guess it's nothing wrong if you cheer for both teams because it's just a friendly. It's not like we might see a situation in the Leagues Cup where there could be a case where both of these teams play against each other. When that would be that will be an interesting situation if that ever arise. But either way, that is pretty much it in terms of talk about this news of the week episode. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of these news, and if there's any news I didn't mention here on the board, let me know in the comments below as always. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys do like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.